Okay, so today we're going to find some angle measurements based on what we learned yesterday. So we're going to do three examples. Here's the first one. I'm going to make a quick sketch of something. So I'm going to have a line. Our line always has to have arrows on both sides. And then we're going to have a ray coming out of this line. Okay, so make this quick sketch here. I got a line and an array in the middle, and we have some measurements. So that's 64 degrees. And this other angle, they're giving us the measurement as an expression, 2x plus 12. Okay, so go ahead and draw that. And the thing that's going to help us figure out these measurements, we already know one, 64 degrees. We'll have to figure out the other one. But is how we classify this. In other words, what type of angle measurements are these? So based on what we learned yesterday, is this, what did we learn? Supplementary, complementary, vertical. Those are the main ones. Which situation does this fall in? Remember the differences. Supplementary is when two angles add up to 180. Complementary is when two angles add up to 90. Complementary is when they add up to 90. And then vertical is when you have the two lines intersecting and the opposite angles are equal or congruent. Which one is this? Supplementary. These have to add up to 180. So these have to add up to 180. And if you can verify, these two angles together combine to make what's called a straight angle, which means a straight line. And that's 180 degrees. Okay? So that means we can make up an equation. We can say, okay, if you take this angle, which all we know about it is it's 2x plus 12, and add 64, that's 180. Okay, so this is the setup. I want you to understand where all this is coming from. This adds up to 180. So this is why we're allowed to set up this equation. Now we don't need all this extra stuff. We could just remove it. So it's just 2x plus 12 plus 64 equals 180. Okay, we don't need the symbols anywhere. But now it's just an equation that we can solve to figure out x. Let's see, what comes next? If I'm solving an equation, don't I have to combine any like terms? And we have some here. So let's add those up together. How much is that? 76. All right, it's just the regular steps we do now to solve an equation. So let's eliminate 76. And then we get 2x equals 104. And that's going to be 52 once we divide by 2. So we get an answer here. X is 52. All right. So now we know x is 52. We have to figure out this unknown angle that we're calling 2x plus 12 degrees. So there's a couple of ways we can figure that out. Let's think of a way we can figure this measurement out, that obtuse angle. How many degrees is it? Any thoughts? We just figured out x is 52. We can use that. Or we can use some of our other logic, figuring out angle measurements. 2 times, oh, I hear someone suggesting maybe plugging in 52 instead of x and working it out. We could do that. And often that's the only way we're going to have to be able to do this. So let's try it. So instead of 2 times x, this is 2 times 52. And then plus 12. And if you're wondering why 52, well, we spent all this time figuring out that x is 52, right? So now we say 2 times 52, that's 104. And then we add 12. And how much is that? 116 degrees. So now we know this is 116 degrees. And that works all the time. The other thing that could have worked here is, aren't both angles together 180? And then don't we know this one's 64? So 180 minus 64 is also 160. So that's another way. Either way is fine. I mean, we're just looking for the angle measurements. So either of those works. All right. Any questions? All right. I see a few people writing this down, so I'll give you a minute or so. Okay. So one of these will be 4w minus 7. Degrees. And the other one is 7w minus 2 degrees. Okay. So go ahead and draw that up. And we're going to classify this. So from the different angle setups that we learned yesterday, we have supplementary, we did that. We also have complementary and vertical. What does this fall under? Yeah, it's complementary. These obviously have to add up to 90 degrees. So this is complementary. And they're going to add up to 90 degrees. All right. So now we're going to take that fact that this plus this is 90 degrees, and we're just going to add these up. So I'm going to write 4w minus 7. I won't put the parentheses or the degree thing, but then I'm going to say plus 7w minus 2. That'll save us a step. And all of that has to equal 90. Okay. So now we know this plus this equals 90. And we can solve it because we know how to solve. Okay, so let's combine 4w and 7w. That'll give us 11w. And is there anything else we can combine? Yeah, the constant parts, -7 and -2. I'll circle those. And that would be -9. Okay. So now we combine stuff. We end up with 11w minus 9 equals 90. Okay, let's solve that. It's a two-stepper. Let's get rid of the -9. Add the 9. So we get 11w equals 99. So that means w has to equal 9. Yeah, just divide 11 if you want to do that step. And I get w equals 9. Okay. So we figured out what w is. That's going to help us figure out these angles. Okay. So let's see. Um, How do I figure out? If I figure out one of these angles, I can figure out the other one real easily. So what do we do to figure out one of them? Okay. Let's replace w with 9 here. So it's going to be 4 times 9, not w, then take away 7. So let's go ahead and do that. Turns out to be 36 minus 7. So that's going to be 29 degrees. So we now know this is 29 degrees. Okay. How do we figure out this other angle? Yeah. We can plug it in again, right? Or we know this is 29. We know that together they make 90. 90 take away 29. Huh? Yeah, you get the same answer. We better get the same answer, but this is a little quicker, I think. I could do that in my head even. So it's 61 degrees. All right. So there we have it. We figured out those angles. 29 degrees, 61 degrees. All right, we have one more. So I'll let the people catch up, and then we'll start that one. So we've covered supplementary angles, complementary angles. What's left from yesterday? Vertical. So let's draw. Vertical angles happen when you intersect two lines. So I'm going to draw line number 1 and maybe line number 2. So just have a couple of lines crossing each other. Okay, go ahead and draw that. And let's look at the angle relationship. So this is going to be maybe 7x plus 2 degrees. And then 9x minus 10 degrees. And then we get to see the unique property of vertical angles. So this is these are vertical angles. So if we're classifying these, we have vertical angles. These are vertical. What's the unique property? Like, what's the relationship between these two measurements? Remember yesterday? They're opposite each other. Right? They're facing each other. We call it opposite. And so opposite angles when you have verticals are, what's the relationship? Congruent, I heard someone say. And that's the word you want. Congruent means they're equal in measurement. It's the geometry version of equals. Okay, so these are congruent. Sometimes if we want to show if angles are congruent, we'll do this little loop thing. Okay, so let's write that down. Opposite angles are congruent. There's actually a symbol for congruent, but I think we could just write it out. Opposite angles are congruent. All right, so that means I could say they're equal to each other. Like that. So this angle equals that angle. And so that sets up where we have an equation with variables on both sides. Let's get rid of one of these x's. Let's get rid of this one. So it's 7x here. Let's get rid of it with a negative 7x and do the same thing on the other side. Okay. And then 9x minus 7x minus 10 here. Bring down the equal sign, bring down the 2. Okay. And let's solve the two-step equation. You got 2x equals 12. So what does x have to equal? X equals 6. Okay. So now we know the value for x. That's going to help us figure out all of these other angles. Okay. Let's do that. We're going to have to replace 6 and x in one of these expressions. Let's do this one. Instead of 6 times x, 9 times x, it's 9 times 6, take away 10. That's 54. And then take away 10 makes it 44 degrees. So this is 44 degrees. We know that now. What's this other angle going to be? Leah, look up here. It has to be the same. It has to also be 44. Okay. So this is 44. That's 44. What's this obtuse angle? How much is that? How can we figure it out? I'll give you a hint. Ignore the bottom. Ignore the bottom. Look at these two angles.
It's 136%.
Yeah. It's 136 because 44 plus.
Like one year, the line straight. Right?
Mhm.
The 44 is like on the side, and the left side is 100.
Yeah, we can do this. This is. And since this is 136, this is 136. All right. So there you have it.